It really
Mhm.
seemed it was first shift versus second shift versus third shift. Like it'd be, oh man, they left all of this for us. Why couldn't they done this or do that? And I had to literally make a change going, these people are probably doing the best they can do. So
Mhm.
why am I hating on them and being so upset about what they're leaving me versus what they got done? I literally
Mhm.
had to make that change. And it was like the next week, I was like, I'm not hating going into my work. I'm not dreading driving up there and going, wow, they didn't do all this. Nope. They got their stuff done. They did the best they could do. I need to do the best I can do.
Welcome to the When I Grow Up podcast, where we talk about where people began their journeys as little kids with their When I Grow Up stories and where they are now, and even just a little bit of how they got there. The twists and turns of the stories are always fun to talk about because they're not always linear. But what's exciting about today's guest is that his path actually was a little bit more of a straight line. My friend Greg, who I met at a board game convention, shares his journey from wanting to be a lawyer to being a chemist and all of the ways that he has progressed along that journey, staying in a career field that he absolutely loves. Let's dive in. Hi, Greg. It's so good to have you here. And as I'm going to give just a very brief intro that listeners would probably want to know how I know you. We met because we both love board games. And so we met through going to Gen Con, a gaming convention in Indiana, Indianapolis. But
Just a small
I'm
one.
super. Yeah, just a small one. I'm so excited to have you though, because I don't know a whole lot about your work and everything. So this is gonna be new to me. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I always like to start off with tell me what you wanted to do or what you wanted to be when you grew up. What was your childhood
So
story?
up until my senior year of high school, I was going to be a lawyer. That's what I love to do. I love to argue. I love debate. That was my career path. I was set on that. And then I had a high
Mhm.
school chemistry teacher that changed everything.
Okay.
Introduced me to chemistry, that it could be fun and effective and good for the world. And just some of the experiments we did in class were so neat. One of the ones that really stuck out to me, because I had chemistry first period, which is probably not the best for a high school senior,
Bright and
because
early. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
you're just like sleepy and just not into it. But one of the ones that stuck out to me is, do you know how they add iron to cereal?
I could not tell you that. No.
No, they literally take iron filings and add it to the batter. So we did, we took a stir
Oh,
bar, weighed it, put it into some crushed up cereal with a little bit of acid, spun it for a little bit, and then reweighed it. Hey, look, there's iron filings stuck to the stir bar. I was like, oh,
wow.
that's kind of cool. And I
Uh-huh.
did really well in this class. So he pushed me towards getting into chemistry.
Okay. So how long was the, lawyer dream then? Like, this sounds like it was all the way into high school and then high
All the way
school
to high
changed
school.
it for
Yeah.
you.
Like
High
even
school changed it.
elementary. That was so I
Okay.
like to argue with my parents and like, you should be a lawyer.
You're like, "Wow, you're so good at debating. Maybe you should turn this into a career." I love it. So what is it that you do now?
So my most recent job, we test the oil inside electronic transformers. So obviously inside that box, there's wires.
Yeah.
You don't want the wires to
Yeah.
touch, so there's paper wrapped around those wires. When you combine electricity and paper, you get heat. Heat makes fire. So they bathe the whole thing in oil to keep it from catching fire. And they pull samples periodically to let them know it's functioning properly or no, there's arcing going on. You might need to change out your oil. A lot of different variables could be done from that.
Okay. Just to clarify, your whole job is testing the oil in there. Like, it's kind of that one specific focus.
Yep. Yep.
How do you do that?
So there's basically two sides to the lab. There's a tech side that does a lot of physical appearance.
Mhm.
Is it cloudy? Does it have gunk floating in it? Is it the density that it should be? And then on the other side is the chemist side. We test the different gases, which really tells them more dialed in. Hey, this is happening, or hey, this is happening based on what gases are present and how they change over time as well.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like I don't know that I would have even known that that was a job, and I'm very curious, did you know that it was a possible job?
Nope,
Okay,
nope.
so where did it appear in your life? Like, what kind of happened that got you to where you are?
So I want to say my first big boy job. It really wasn't my first one, but my first like long-term job was at a chemical manufacturing plant, which we can get to in a minute. But
Mhm,
towards the end, it was owned by a venture capitalist group who bought a brand new site in Texas that could do
mhm,
all the stuff we could do at our indie site faster, more efficient, and higher
yeah,
purity. And they're like, why are we keeping this site? Which is sad because the
mhm,
site's been here since the 1800s. And even through the Great Depression, they didn't lose a single employee, which was a
mhm.
huge, like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah,
But to
yeah.
see it
That is
close was really
definitely
sad.
like a feather in the cap of
Yeah.
we don't lose our employees. Yeah. Mhm,
But a bunch of the engineers were like, hey, get out while you can. So I was
mhm,
like, all right, fine, put myself in the job market, got a temp job at a radiopharmaceutical lab. They make a radioactive heart dye that has a 36-hour
mhm,
half life. So the stuff I'm
mhm,
making today is going into somebody's body tomorrow. And that was a
mhm,
really cool site. While I was there, they have a cyclotron. They actually excite the rubidium to strontium on site. And while I was down for maintenance. We actually got to go into the vault and walk around. And it was really, really neat. One of
yeah.
the neat points is there's more concrete at that site than there is in all of Lucas Oil Stadium, which is a
Wow.
70,000 person venue here in the center of
Okay.
Minneapolis. It's like,
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. But the
Mhm,
treasurer for the board game group that I'm a part of was like, hey, a friend of mine's looking for chemists. And it's a full-time position. I'm like, full-time? Actual benefits? Let me check this out. I toured the lab,
mhm,
hit it off. She's also in the roller derby and slightly board game adjacent. So it's like, hey, we have
mhm.
hobbies in common. And I'm like, all right, as much as I love the work we're doing here, this is a full-time position. I hate to leave, but I really can't pass that opportunity up.
So, and I always goodness, I will die on the networking hill. So I always tell people finding those jobs usually come through conversations with other people. And that's what it sounds like it was for you, right?
It's a really small world, and it really boils down to who you know versus what you know.
Mhm. Mhm. But you've been in the chemistry path pretty much
My entire
since high
career, yeah,
school.
yeah,
That's really fascinating to me because that's the other thing that I'll sometimes see is that people don't necessarily go, "Yeah, I wanna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stay on this path." But you stayed pretty straight line since high school.
yep, yep. Vertellus,
Mhm.
Curium, and then Avo. One of the
Yeah.
really unfortunate problems with me is I have an associate's degree. So a lot
Uh-huh.
of, especially now, automated resumes go, "Oh, no bachelor's, out." And it's like
Mhm.
20 years experience is more than
Mhm.
2 more years in college.
Yeah. Yeah. What is some of the favorite parts about what you do now?
So I love working with instrumentation because it's great until something goes wrong. And then you've got to figure out what's wrong and how do we fix it. And generally,
Mhm.
your first intuition is sometimes correct. Sometimes, no, that didn't fix it. Now I got to try something else. And hopefully that second time
Yeah.
fixes it. Or if that doesn't, then we reach out to our service person and goes, all right, here's what we're seeing. Here's what we've done. What do you recommend? Or do you need to come in? And just
Mhm.
figuring out that puzzle bit is so much fun to me.
Mhm. So I do and I'm always when I'm doing this podcast, I think, "Man, I probably tell this story a lot in them," so I'm trying to not always tell the story, but I talk to a lot of people about this test called the Spark Type, and it just basically says how you do your job is going to give you more excitement than specifically what you do in your job. And it sounds like for you, it's that like problem solving
Right.
piece,
Yep.
like really getting down and understanding how something works and why it works that way is just the best thing for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
through 20 years of training, I really learned I need people who are more team oriented than know what they're doing. Because if they're
Mhm.
team oriented, I can train them on the stuff they don't know. But if they're not going to be
Mhm.
team players, they're really not going to fit in this environment.
Mhm. Yeah. Now you said you were gonna go back to it. The first job that you had, what was it that you were
So,
doing?
so it started as Riley Industries, then it became Vertellus, and then got bought another venture capitalist group and got renamed to Aurora. So the main thing
Mhm.
they made in Indy was Pyridine, and then from that they would send some of that obviously out to their clients, but they would reuse
Yeah.
it in a bunch of other products at the Indy site. So really, it was like 7 different subplants within one, and that was just
Okay.
it's been here for so long. They have so much history in the site.
So this may be a little bit of a harder question, but in your journey, has there ever been parts of your job that have made you question it? Like gone, maybe this isn't what I want to do. What part? You're nodding, so I want to know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what parts?
So especially like fourth or fifth year into Vertellus, it really
Mhm.
seemed it was first shift versus second shift versus third shift. Like it'd be, oh man, they left all of this for us. Why couldn't they done this or do that? And I had to literally make a change going, these people are probably doing the best they can do. So
Mhm.
why am I hating on them and being so upset about what they're leaving me versus what they got done? I literally
Mhm.
had to make that change. And it was like the next week, I was like, I'm not hating going into my work. I'm not dreading driving up there and going, wow, they didn't do all this. Nope. They got their stuff done. They did the best they could do. I need to do the best I can do. Some days that's 100%.
Mhm.
Some days I might be sick. That might only be 80. But as long as I do the best I can do each day, I can feel good about what I leave. And making that
Mhm.
change really helped just my overall morale of the job, because I was literally dreading going into work. Oh my God, what am I going to walk
Mm.
into? What do they leave me? What do they not do? It's like, stop. They're doing the best they can. Make that change. And my whole prospect just changed overnight.
So for you, it was quite literally a perspective shift on your team, like on the because all the shifts are a team. It's just which
Yes.
unit is going in at a different time. Um, so for you, it wasn't even like the work itself. It was the actual, it was the company, and it was how you saw the different teams within the company.
Yep. Yep. Not dreading
Hmm.
that my coworkers are doing the best they can. Yeah, I could do more, but maybe I didn't have this happen, or maybe I didn't have this happen. So stop trying to focus on what I can do versus what they can do. Just accept they did the best they can and go from there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because sometimes people will talk about they're in a job and it's just not working. Something is wrong and they can't figure out what. And the conversations that I'll have, there's paths that you can go. You can go the path of, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right place for you. You can look at other options, but maybe the place itself can change, whether it's through your own perspective, through conversations with, supervisors, bosses, whoever it is. But I really appreciate you sharing that because it shows the side of staying. It shows the side of it's not always that the job itself is bad, it's that the environment needs to shift, and you were able to make that environment shift with how you looked at it.
Yeah, especially like at Avo, me and my main trainer, once I got competent on that side, I would say, hey, should I do this or should I do this? That's me saying, hey, I see these two options. I'm leaning this way, but do you have another perspective? Whereas he saw it as I'm still asking questions I should have the answers to. And we went
Mhm.
that way for like a month. And then he finally said, hey,
Mhm.
why are you asking these questions? I'm like, I'm not asking these questions. So our communication styles were vastly different. We had to have a conversation about, okay, how do we communicate and make this work? So I had to change how I was saying that, and it fixed our problems. Literally the next week, we're like, all right, this works so much better.
Mhm. So jumping to what you do now, are there pieces of it that you find the favorite parts of it?
So once we do our work, our GC work, the syringes all go to a giant rack. And then once we release results, they get transferred over back to the tech side for one last test. So literally just taking, all right, I've done 40 different samples. Now put them on a cart and wheel them across the lab and seeing our shelf go from full back to empty. Just something about that. It's like, oh, this is neat. Now you have more room to get stuff done. Granted, we're gonna fill it back up throughout the day, but still getting that cart and taking it across the lab, such a good feeling.
Mhm. Is it quite literally like every day it fills up and
Yeah,
empties
yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah, and
once?
then the
Does
start of
it
the
fill up
day
and empty multiple times or
If we're running really well, it can be multiple times, but usually it's at the start of the day, take
Once
the
a day.
stuff over to the other side of the lab, and then fill it back up throughout the day.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a nice little check. Got
Yeah,
another one. Got another shelf set done
yeah, and then we have a
kind of
queue that
thing.
shows all the samples, all the tests they get, and watching that go from a high number to a low number, and it's like, "Yeah, alright, we
Mhm.
did a bunch of work today. Yes, that feels good," or, that number hasn't got down a lot. Either we got a bunch in or we didn't get enough done that day." It's like, "Alright, we'll try again tomorrow."
So have you ever thought back to the part of you that wanted to be a lawyer? Like, have you ever thought about the what if of that trajectory at all, or even just wondered like where that came from for you of wanting to be a lawyer other than people telling you you're good at debating?
Just I like talking to people. I like engaging with people. It's something I found on other journeys is I like people's stories. I like hearing people why they believe what they believe. And that's such a neat facet for me. I love that process of, okay, but why? I don't want to debate with you about what's right, what's wrong. I want to know why you
Yeah.
believe that. And it's such a fascinating story. Everybody has their own different views.
Mhm. So just to clarify this, because people told you you were great at debating, but it sounds like your whole journey was, I just want to understand why. And so it was with people, and then it became with science, with chemistry itself. So that was connected, but maybe not in the way that people
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah, yeah. One of my first temp
Mhm.
jobs, I was literally taking tubes of blood, putting them in an instrument, and passing off the data. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not what I went to school to do. And if something happened to the instrument, I wasn't allowed to touch it because I was just a tech. And I'm like, no, 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 I want to tinker. So when I got that job at
Mhm.
Vertellus, when I walked in, and there's 16 instruments in their first quad of 4 quads, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then we got to
Yeah.
tinker with those and doing the maintenance. Like, yes, this is what I want to do. And that's
Mhm.
why I stuck there for so long, just be able to tinker around those instruments.
Yeah. And how amazing that it all started because a professor, a teacher just
Pushed me on that. Just gotta
get
not even I
got
want to
you.
say push, just opened the door and said, "Here, look." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's kinda neat."
Yeah, it kind of feels like they saw the interest that you had.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't sound like they were just, like, showing the whole class. It kinda sounds like they honed in on that curiosity that you had.
Yeah, they picked it up really quick that I had interest in it, and they're like, "Are you sure you wanna be a lawyer? Because here's the stuff that I did when I was, actually in the field." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kinda cool. Alright, show me more."
Mhm. Have you just out of curiosity, have you ever gone back and told that teacher the influence
No,
that they
I
had?
unfortunately have never met that teacher again, which would really be cool to go run her back across them and go, "Hey, here's what I've done after you opened this door for me."
Yeah. I mean, I have so much gratitude for teachers because I do think they influence people more than we even realize at times. Like, they give students paths even before they know it, and so when there's a chance to go back and tell a teacher, I'm always like, "Man, just go find them somehow, social media, stalk them." I don't know, maybe not stalk, but, like, find them and share the message to say, "Hey, my life never would have gone this trajectory without you."
Without you, yeah. There's a famous spoken poetry called "What Teachers Make," and
Mm,
it's
mhm.
abs have you heard it before?
I haven't. Do you know it enough to share it?
So, I'm gonna go into it, and I'm pretty sure I got this right. We're at a
It's
dinner party, and Bob looks at me and says, "Come on, Taylor, be honest. What do you make?" And I wish he hadn't done that. Ask for honesty and ass kicking. Because I have a policy, if someone asks those 2 things, they're gonna get it. You wanna know what I make? I make kids sit through 30 minutes of study hall in absolute silence. No, you don't need to go to the bathroom. You're just bored, aren't you? I make parents
Mhm,
tremble in fear when I call at 6 o'clock. Hey, I want to talk about something Bobby said. He said, and I cried too, don't you? And it was the noblest act of bravery I've ever seen. I make kids spell definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful. They would never, ever misspell either one of those words again. You want to know what I make? I make parents see their kids for who they can be. What's
mhm.
the end? What's the end? What's the end? I can't remember the end. Dang it.
Oh my
But
gosh, I
basically,
like, I have goosebumps hearing it, so I'm
it,
gonna
it's
what I'll do is show notes will absolutely have it with the full credit because it sounds
Yeah,
so
Taylor Malley,
powerful.
he has a couple other ones about teaching that are
Okay.
just absolutely amazing. Teachers make this world go round, which is one of the things I would love to go back to do is become a teacher. Just that there's really no money in it, and it as much as I hate to say that, I make significantly
Oh,
more
no,
as a
I get it.
chemist than I was as a teacher, and it sucks because I have a passion for teaching. We've met via board games and teaching at conventions. This is something I love to do. This organization I'm a part of, our whole shtick is teaching board games, and I've had so many people
Mhm.
say, "You should go back and become a teacher." I'm like, "Yes,
Can't afford
but I
to.
like food.
Mhm.
I like having a
Yeah.
house over my head." So, unfortunately, it's just not in the cards.
No, I get that. And to be I think that there are ways that you still get to teach in any space. Like, you can teach people on the job how to do things. You can I believe that, like you said, board games, you get the chance to teach. I know that there's a difference in stepping into a classroom and being able to give in the way that your teacher gave to you and showing that potential to people. Um you know? Sometimes I think a little bit, optimistically, but I think, there can always be changes that happen in the world, and maybe someday teachers will be appreciated
More than they
financially for what
yeah.
they do, like, they will be valued at the true value that they are. I hope that day in and day out. Um, but yeah, you were influenced deeply by your teacher. I can think of stories where I was influenced deeply by teachers. Um you wouldn't have gotten where you are without
No.
that influence.
I would not have gone down this
Mhm.
path without that teacher showing that chemistry is fun. It could be a rewarding career.
Yeah. Yeah, so beautiful. And I just wanna thank you. Like, one last question that I have for you is just, uh, I'm so curious if you were to look into, the what comes next. Are you where you want to be? Are you wanting to make changes? Like, what does it look like for you?
So I've got a couple opportunities coming down the pipeline that sound fantastic, but
Mhm.
they're for future products. So they obviously they haven't app started yet.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about a couple of those. One of them is going back to radiopharmaceuticals, which is a really neat process because some of those have extremely short shelf life. So like for Tellus, the purity I would make would go off to a chemical plant, get
Mhm.
processed, put into a herbicide, put on a field months later.
Mhm.
Whereas with this, the stuff I'm making is literally going into somebody's body tomorrow for
Mhm.
either cancer fighting or screenings. So that's stupidly important. And the fact that I can affect the world that way would be great. Another path is
Yeah.
going back to school. Again, I only have an associate's and I keep getting rejected just based on that. So adding those
Mhm.
BS or MS in chemistry would be absolutely neat, but just a matter of finding time, money to go back to school. Granted, my
Resources.
kids
Mhm.
are 1 year out of being out of high school now. So now I have a lot more time. I don't have to dedicate as much time to them because they're functionally adults.
Mhm.
Generally
Yeah.
being a strong word for some of them.
I gotcha.
And my resources aren't tied to them as much as they used to be. So I might be able to have more time to take evening night classes.
And one of the things that people often get caught in is the fear of making those changes in careers, but at the end of the day, it happens, and we hit a point where we say, "I've done what I can in this world. I want something different or more," and that may be progressing in a career path, but it can also be, "You know what? It's time for a pivot." And I hear that that's kind of the paths you're taking look in both directions right now.
And that's definitely one of the reasons I stuck at Vertelis for so long was this is paying the bills. It's doing what it needs to do. Do I really want to go back and look for jobs? And I really didn't put the effort in. Which, looking back, I probably should have because once those engineers said, "Hey, get out," it only took me a month to find that job at Curium.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
that fear of taking that step really held me back for the longest time.
Yeah. I definitely think it's partly about taking your own experiential advice though and networking. Like, from
Yes.
the sound of it, that's the way that really helps. Uh so I'm hopeful for you. I'm hopeful that those opportunities come along and that you're able to step into them with the confidence that you have with 20 years of experience backing you up. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I didn't know. I didn't know your story and now I know it. And it's so fascinating to hear. So, is there anything that you would like to like I would love for you to tell listeners about Hoosier Gamers just because it is kind of a side thing, but is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners that you want them to know?
So let's start with the Hoosier Gamer piece. If you're anywhere within central Indiana, within Indiana, so Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, maybe another state out, look up Hoosier Gamers. Instead of Hoosier as in the standard Hoosier spelling, who is, so WHO
Yeah,
apostrophe.
it's on your shirt. It's on
Yeah,
your
it's on
shirt
my
right now.
shirt.
I see it.
Our whole shtick is promoting board games. And we do that via a bunch of smaller events and then Hoosier Con, which is basically Gen Con on a much smaller scale. If all the cards line back up like we think they're going to, we'll be back to being completely free. So 3 days of gaming, completely free. All you have to worry about is lodging, which is absolutely fantastic. Even if not, $20 for 3 days of gaming is stupid cheap. We
Mm,
use that as a vehicle to fundraise. So we give money to a local food bank. We helped a non-for-profit shelter that helps LBGQ
mhm,
mafia people. This past year, we gave immigration a group that specializes in immigration law a bunch of money to
mhm.
help fund their products
Yeah.
because we believe in helping this community, and board gaming is a great way to raise it up. Because let's face it, there's some board gamers out there that have lots of disposable income that would like to put it somewhere. They just don't know where to put it, and we can help them do
Yeah.
that with this. Another
Fu
piece of advice is take that step. The
Mhm,
common phrase everybody knows is the most important step is the first one. It's not
mhm,
quite true. The most important step is the next one. Continue that
mhm.
journey. Yes, taking that first step takes a lot of courage, but you've got to keep going. So
Yeah.
many plans. How many people make New Year's resolution? I'm gonna go to the gym, and by February, that membership is
Right.
gathering dust in their wallet. Keep taking that next step. Journey before destinations. A quote from one of my favorite book series because it's important. Take that journey. Keep going.
Mhm.
Don't worry about what that final destination is. Live the life you're going. Take that step.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. That is fantastic advice, and I hope that the listeners can hear that the steps you took. They were always about, "Okay, what's the next step? What's the next one?" along the way. And even, like, just a reference back to what you said early on is even "I'm not happy here, what do I need to do? What's the step I can take?" Um, and I hear that.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that is such. I mean, literally within a week, I was like, okay, I don't dread my job anymore because it
that's
got to the point
awesome.
I'm like, I'm hating getting up and going to work. What can I change? Because I can't make my bosses change. I can't make the work change. What can I change? And just
Mhm.
making that little change of stop hating on the previous shift made a huge difference.
Well, thank you all for listening. This has been an absolute joy to hear Greg's story. And I don't know about you, but I am so thankful for teachers. I know that that was a little bit of a theme in today's conversations because it was the influence of Greg's teacher in high school that led him on this path to a job that he absolutely loves. And so, if you know a teacher that has had an influence on your life, I just want to encourage you to send a message to them. And if you are a teacher, I hope that you know that you make a difference in people's lives. I can't wait to talk to you guys all next week. Again, if you found this episode helpful for you, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe and follow for more because I want to be able to keep sharing these stories with you from all of the different walks of life that show up in people's career journeys. So until next time, take care.